Hey, everybody, welcome to another episode of the Recovery Scene. Make sure you hit that subscribe and like button. I don't have anything fancy or blinky, so I'm just asking you to hit the subscribe or like button. We're not fancy here. Tonight I have Matt Clark. He will be sharing his journey of addiction to recovery with us. Now, Matt, you said you started at 18, you were a freshman in college, you kind of got into the fraternity scene and it started with drinking and everything. You got sober at 19 and you were sober for 6 years and then went back out. So that's the only intro that I'm going to do. I'm going to let you tell the rest of your story, but thank you so much for being here and being willing to share your story with us.
Yeah, and thank you so much for inviting me. So what's funny is I've spoken at meetings and conferences, and I've told my story before, but this is the first time I think I was actually nervous. I'm like, oh, I'm being recorded now, so I was definitely nervous coming into it. But
it's the big time, man.
Yeah, right. I hit it big now. So getting AA famous here.
Right.
Right. So my name is Matt Clark. I'm an alcoholic and a drug addict. I have a sobriety date. It's January 10th, 2017. I have a sponsor, and I've worked at 12 steps of Alcoholics Anonymous, and that's my path to recovery. That does not mean it needs to be anybody else's path to recovery. I like to say first that I came from this beautiful family in this beautiful suburban town, and I was given so much love and so much support. My parents gave me everything I needed and almost everything I wanted, and yet I still ended up here in AA. So I don't think addiction and alcoholism cares who you are or where you come from or your social economic status. It's we're born with it, and I believe that because at my first rehab I went to, my mother was there for family day, and we were going over like list of character defects, and I didn't know that's what it was at the time. And my mother stopped and raised her hand and said, "Well, Matthew's had all of these since he was like 6." Right. So even from a young age, their insecurities, the ego, the self-centeredness, the fear was just in me.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. There's a few, but in the addicts that I interview, one big common theme is I don't know why, but I had friends, but I never felt like I fit in. I was never comfortable in my own skin, and we start exhibiting that addict behavior when we're little. It's wild.
And I was educated well, so nothing that by sponsors, so nothing that I ever say is my own thought, right? But it's that hole in the soul, right? That there's something missing, that I don't belong, that I don't know how to act, that everybody else seems to have their stuff together. Even before Facebook, it was kind of like the Facebook world, where all you see are these pretty pictures and pretty people of a life that's together, and you're like, why am I different? And at a young age, I try to fill that with GI Joes, right? Or who has the coolest bike? Do my parents buy me the BMX bike or their knockoff Walmart bike? Do I have Bosch and South Pole jeans? Am I listening to the right music? Do I have the right grades? Do I have the right job? Do I have the right girl? Am I going to the right college? And am I starting on the football team or not? And the answer was no. So like, I'm filling it with all this stuff until I found drugs and alcohol. And I remember the very, 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 very first time that really happened for me. I was a freshman in high school. I got invited to the big football party. I'm so excited. I go there. Someone offers me weed. Of course I'm going to smoke. I start smoking. I ran back. This is addict behavior. As a freshman in high school, I ran back to my house 4 times to get more money to buy more weed. The very first time I drank and I smoked.
Yeah, like, absolutely.
From the rip. And looking back now is crazy. And that very first time, me and my friends after the party were walking up by the woods, and we're going into the woods to smoke some more weed, and a cop shows up. And that very first time as a freshman in college, the very first time I drank and I drunk, I get arrested. Very first time.
Wow. Talk about your bad luck. Or your good luck. I mean, depending on, how we're looking at it.
It had to be God saying, "Hey, Matt, wait a minute. Stop this." But I remember sitting in a cell, right? In my town cell. We're not talking about like jail. When we're talking about like the holding cell in my town where the cops are all football coaches, you know, it's not like it's midnight and
Did that almost make it worse? Because they knew you.
because you know everybody, yes.
Okay.
It made it worse and better. You know, like I didn't freak out and have the panic attack I would in the future. But now that's gonna go everywhere, right? It's going everywhere anyway. It's high school. Come on. So 12 o'clock, I'm sitting in jail as a freshman in high school. And in walks my father, who I love, who is my rock. And he's wearing his pajamas. His hair is all muffled because he just woke up. He has his glasses on. And I kid you not, my very first thought was, you had to wear that to come bail me out of jail? Don't you know who I'm hanging out with right now? You have to embarrass me like that? That's my first thought.
Dad, you're embarrassing me in front of the inmates. What is wrong with you?
But the second thing I saw was this look in his eyes. Right? There's this deep pain, not anger, not disappointment, pain. And I will never forget that look, and it tears my soul apart that I see that look several more times throughout my life.
Mm-hmm.
Fast forward, I'm a good boy. I go to college, I go to University of Delaware, party school, joined a fraternity my very first semester. My fraternity house was 100 yards uphill from my dorm when you're drunk, 100 yards downhill when you're sober, right? And I just wanted to be cool, and I felt accepted, and I felt part of. And the drinking and the drugs came with it. I gotta tell you, I was a lightweight. We're talking about like beer, Bacardi, Southern Comfort, weed, and some blow every so often. You know, we're not talking about hard stuff, but the consequences came quick because I started making fake IDs because I want to be the plug. I want to be the cool guy. You got to come to me. And someone gets busted with a fake ID and they rat me out. And at the age of 19, I get charged with 25 felony counts for fraud and forgery for making fake IDs.
Oh, wow. Wow. I have to tell you, Matt, when you said, and I don't know why, you know, maybe people who are watching can, you know, comment under the video or on the live or whatever and tell me if they felt the same thing. But when the way you said, I just wanted to be cool, like punched me in the chest. And I think it's because I was the same. I just wanted to be cool. Like I just wanted to feel
part of.
Yeah. That hit me hard.
My whole life was I want to be part of. So I'm going to fast forward. Listen, like I after that, I got kicked out of University of Delaware. I go home. I have street cred now, right? Somehow. So I'm with the cool kids, right? And today I don't know what cool is, nor do I probably want to be cool. Like I'm a proud, neat, nerd and geek. Like,
right, me too. Yeah.
If there's a fantasy show on Netflix, I am binging that. Like real quick. You know, like I have read every Game of Thrones book. I do not try to act cool anymore. Like this is it. Like I am me, and I am okay with it. But then I wasn't. But I got arrested 3 times in 7 months.
Wow.
And I finally said, I didn't, just to get out of trouble, I said, I need help to my dad, right? And I fucked up there. So my father is a principal, was a principal. So he was a principal of a high school in my county. If you got kicked out of every other public high school, you went to his. So his high school was full of drug addicts and alcoholics and delinquents. So he knew what was up, right? And he sends me to rehab. I get a scholarship to, who gets a scholarship to rehab for 2 weeks? Anyway, I go to rehab, I come back, and my father says, you're driving me home. He's like, you go to a meeting tonight? I'm like, yeah, I guess I got it. Remember, I did this just to get out of trouble, right? Like my dad's car was impounded. It's a whole thing.
Right. Did they drop those felonies?
Yeah, so I got the felonies dropped to misdemeanors. I got all the other arrests dropped. I felt like I was John Gotti. Like every single arrest I ever had from freshman year and the 3 others were gone. Wow. So I felt it made me feel untouchable. But I identified a little bit in the rehab, right? I did. So I look up a meeting, and there's a meeting in my hometown at 8 o'clock that Friday night. And I'm 19 years old, and I walk in, and I am the youngest one there by decades. Like decades. Like across the board. And it's one of those weird meetings where they turn off all the lights and light a candle. I'm like, what's going on here? Afterwards, though, this guy, Bill, comes up to me. And he says, hey, young blood, are you new? Like, yeah. Do you have a sponsor? I'm like, no, not yet. He's like, do you need a sponsor? I'm like, I guess I need that. I know that word. He's like, cool, that's your sponsor. and he points to this guy, John. Now, I'm a pretty big guy, right? I've lost a lot of weight. I don't look big, but I was a solid 250 then. This guy, John Riley, was the biggest, meanest mofo in the room. Bigger than me. He used to play football for University of Miami back in the 80s, did a Diamond Rawway. Like,
Wow.
and
Wow.
the best thing I ever said in AA, okay. John Riley picked me up from my house every single day for the next month and took me to a meeting. I had no say. I don't think he knew my name for the first month. I always say, I mean, like, and I love John to death. He helped me get sober and stay sober. At that time, John didn't have the steps, so he couldn't give me the steps, but he got me to a place in life where I was able to transfer. I got sober. I got good grades. I got a scholarship to Villanova University. I went to Villanova. I found a sponsor there who took me through the 12 steps, Alcoholics Anonymous. That's my path. It does not have to be anyone else's path. Whatever keeps you happy and sober, I love it. Like, I used to be this big book thumper where you don't know what you're talking about type. Like, this disgusting, right? And that's not me. Whatever keeps you sober, I will support you forever.
Exactly. I am in 100% agreement.
Yeah.
It keeps you sober and it gets you off the ledge. Do it.
Yeah. Like, and like medical assistant, I'm all for it. Just don't die. Just don't die. Like,
Right.
let's start there. We'll figure out the rest later. Anyway, I'm sober for
There's
6
one
years.
rule. There's one rule. Just do not die.
I get sober for 6 years. I'm loving life. I feel like I'm on top of the mountain. I'm have an apartment in New York City that I really didn't pay for. A company paid for. I'm wearing these clothes that, you know, like these clothes, right? I'm living in Midtown Manhattan, right by Times Square. I made it. Look what I did. I had a few dates with women that didn't really like the fact that I didn't drink. And I said at 25, you know, 6 years sober, I don't think I'm an alcoholic anymore. I don't want to be an alcoholic anymore. I talk with my sponsoring people, and they're big book guys. And they said, listen, it says in the big book, if you're unsure, go try some controlled drinking. And I said, okay. And instead of controlled drinking, I started with whippets, and then I smoked a blunt. And then maybe a week later, I tried controlled drinking, which
Right.
and I'm not gonna drop the names, but I was a publicist back in the day for some hip hop artists, so I had to go to Vegas for 2 weeks to babysit them, and there's nothing controlled about drinking with hip hop stars in Vegas, right?
Right.
So,
Yeah. Yeah. All bets are off, I would assume.
long story short, miserable life for the next 10 years, right? I in and out of the rooms. I came back one time and I got 2 years sober, but I was angry. I didn't do the steps. I did this already. I don't need to do it again. I know this. I know the steps. I used to sponsor you. I don't need to do this again. Don't you know who I was? And that's not going to last. I was dry, not sober. There's a difference between dry and being recovered.
Yes. Yes.
And I'm like, and I live in Jersey and up in Bergen County, and there's some great meetings, great people here, but I lost my network. I just stopped calling, and I got in a car accident, and it's a classic story, right? Of every white boy from the burbs. Like, that's it. You get in a car accident, you get pain pills.
Yep.
Pain
Yep.
pills
The hospital becomes your dope dealer.
switch to dope, and that's game over. And I knew what was up. The second I took pain pills, I knew I was done. And I checked myself into 8 different rehabs and detoxes over the next 4 years, so I knew I might die.
Mm.
And it got to the point where I was shooting heroin. My parents kicked me out of the house. It's me seeing that look in my father's eyes, right? That look of hurt and sad, not anger or disappointment. And it
Maybe a
rips
little
me
bit of
apart.
fear too.
Yeah, and fear. And they don't want to kick out their oldest son. They love me. They don't want to do that. I forced them to do that.
Mm-hmm.
And living in my car in the Vince Lombardi rest stop on I-95 in North Jersey, sleeping in abandoned buildings in Patterson, you know, the Patterson, New Jersey, big drug area. If you know the Northeast New York at all, I'm working jobs, like menial labor jobs, just to make some money. I'm stealing and I'm robbing drug dealers, and I'm stealing checks out of my mom's checkbook. She used to sleep with her purse, for the love of God. I made my mother sleep with her purse. The amount of lies I told just to scam money from people. I have a list now of everyone I've scammed money from and what I said. And every time I look at that list, I cringe at who I was. So I'm shooting heroin, right? Like I get to shooting heroin, and I know I'm playing Russian roulette with my life, uh, and I know every time I shoot up, it can be the last, and I'm okay with that, and that's what
That
I
is
want.
also a common theme. We get to a point where we're like, you know what? It's all right. You know, if this kills me, well, I guess that's that.
Right. Um, and then the arrest again. I gotta tell you, I believe in free will, right? And I have a loving God. I never had an issue with that. My uncle's a priest. My parents are in the church. My grandmother's a Eucharist minister. It's always been a loving God, right? I've never had this, and I'm Catholic, right? Like I'm supposed to have this like type of God. I don't have that. I've always had, so I've had no issue with that. Like, um, I believe that you have free will to get from point A to point B. I have a purpose on this earth, whatever point B is, and God will let me get to that point however He sees fit. But every so often, He's gonna knock me in the back of the head to get me back on path, right? And
Right.
that for me was arrests, right? So I've been arrested 13 times in my life, all for drugs and alcohol. And I got arrested again 3 times every month. That seems to be my theme, third strike you're out. And I end up in Passaic County Jail, which is not a nice jail. Like it's mm, not where you want to be, right? And I'm kicking in the basement is what they call it, the basement of Passaic
Oh,
County,
that's horrible.
right?
That's because if anybody does that, for those who do not know, kicking without any kind of detox, and even with detox, it's horrible.
They gave
You
you like 10 milligrams of Valium. That did nothing for me.
Yeah, it's like there's bugs crawling under your skin. You're throwing up. You can't sleep. And it peaks at 72 hours, guys. You start to withdraw immediately, and it feels like crap. But at 48 hours, you're thinking to yourself, it hasn't even peaked yet. It's horrible. Oh God, it's horrible.
So, let me tell you how I ended up there, because that's funny. Because where I'm from, Bergen County in New Jersey, they call it Baby Camp Jail, BCJ, Bergen County Jail, Baby Camp Jail, right? Because it's like nice place. Like it's nice. Like if you gotta do a bid, you do it in Bergen County Jail. So I get my stuff, and I can't wait, obviously, because I'm an addict, right? So I stop in the parking lot of 7-Eleven, and I'm getting everything together. And as I'm getting it together, I hear on the window, and literally with a ring in my mouth, I look up, and there's a cop, and he says, "Son, turn off the car and get out of the car." And I realize my car's running. And I see his car on the other side of a Jersey wall, which is a big concrete wall. I'm
Oh,
in the car, you're on foot, no. And I get a high-speed chase trying to get out of there. And then when I realize I can't get out of there, I'm like, let me just get to Bergen County. Because if I get to Bergen County, they give you Suboxone. And I'll be good. It'll get me to Bergen. Apparently, it doesn't work like that. No matter where they arrest you, you go back to where you committed the crime. I didn't know this. Anyway, I can't drive, so that didn't go well. I go to Passaic County Jail. Then I get transferred to Bergen County Jail. I'm making up every line in the book to try to get out. It's not working very well. My dad said, "Listen, I got a rehab. You go to the rehab, I'll get you out after a month." And I hated jail, so yeah, okay. Like I'm not built for jail. A lot of guys try like to be these tough guys. Like, listen, I've done some time in jail. Like I can jail if I have to, but I am not built for jail. Like let's go to rehab in Connecticut. And I get in a lovely rehab romance. A lot of my videos about leaving new girls alone and leaving new guys alone. And the only reason I post those videos are because I've done it, right? Like I've been there. So rehab romance doesn't work. Get offered what's called drug court. Matt, you go to drug court, treatment court. You're on probation plus treatment. Uh, 5 years. You complete it, your entire record gets wiped. Because anything that's drug and alcohol related gets wiped. That's my entire record.
oh my God, that's quite the deal.
I couldn't stay sober for sentencing. I knew what day I had to go. So anyway, this girl broke up with me, broke my heart, love of my life, yada yada yada. I had no coping skills in early recovery to deal with a breakup, to deal with that rejection, because it's that fear that I have in me, right? So with no coping skills in early recovery, I relapse, right? The relationships are the third rail of recovery. And on the day of sentencing, I'm high, so they've locked me up, and I go from rehab to rehab to jail to jail. And I tell people that drinking is a symptom. It's a symptom. And I know that. I know that because I'm sober in rehab for 2 months. And somebody offers me a bag of dope and I take it sober. I'm sober in rehab and they say no more cigarettes and coffee. So my dumbass sneaks out on a Sunday morning to go to CVS and get cigarettes and coffee. And I come back and I get ratted out and I go back to jail. These are my sober decisions. It was a month before my sister's wedding. 1 month, and I decided 1 month before I graduated, 1 month before my baby sister's wedding, and my best thinking sober was I should sneak out of rehab to go get coffee and cigarettes. It's not the drugging, it's not the drinking, it's me. It's I have these ideals, this set of ideals and fear that I live on, and I don't know how I got it, but I do, and it's not a design for living.
Yeah. Yeah. The drinking and the addiction and the drugs, we're either self-medicating or coping most of the time. We are trying to get rid of some kind of feeling that we don't like,
Yeah. And wait, I'm trying to shorten this because I don't want to bore people. I'm in and
But
out.
not boring. Your story is actually pretty riveting. Keep going.
So I'm in and out of jail and rehab, right? And I get sent to this rehab in Trenton, New Jersey. Not very good, but of course, because I'm Mr. AA in these rehabs, I know better, right? So I walk into these rehabs, I'm going to tell the counselors how it is because I was sober for 6 years, so I know what to do. You know what I mean? They don't like that. Ego, stop. I go to this cigarettes always get me. I go to this halfway house and they ban smoking for a day to punish us. And I'm like, fuck you, I'm not going to not smoke. So me and my friends go into the boys' room, turn on the showers, smoke our cigarettes, spray or smell good, walk out. As soon as I walk out of the bathroom, there's a counselor right there. I went back to Bergen County Jail and I did 8 months in jail for smoking a cigarette in the bathroom. They made a pop song about this back in the day. And I go to jail for smoking in the boys' room.
Good God. Yeah, that was Motley Crue. I am so old. I have a side part too. So apparently I'm just done for.
I gave up, right, with my hairdos. I just said, let me part it and that's it. Me going back to jail for 8 months was the best thing that's ever happened to me. Because let me tell you, it's my ego that's killed me my whole life. And it's hard to be egotistical when you're wearing a giant orange onesie. It's hard to be egotistical when you're told when to wake up, when you're told when to go to bed, when you're told when to eat. I had a job as a jail cleaner for $1 a day mopping floors. How am I going to be egotistical? So I learned to give up my ego, to give up my insecurities, to keep my head down, to stay in my lane. One guy came and said, Matt, you got too much. Put your pride to the side. I got one more chance on drug court. They already sent me to prison. That's the other thing on drug court. You fail, you go to prison for your whole bit. And again, not built for prison. I listen this time, man. I listen this time. And I go to rehab and I meet some other guys that actually care and we stick together. And then I go to a halfway house and I go with these guys. It was so cool. We did rehab together and then we went to halfway house together, right? And I'm in Eva's halfway house up in Patterson, New Jersey, and I'm listening. And there's things that suck and there's things I want to fight against. I just did my little things on the side, like, have 2 cell phones and you're hanging one in and you hide the other one at night. Like, I wasn't perfect, right? But I was good enough to graduate early. And then I went to a sober house in Jersey. And I didn't have to go. It wasn't mandated there, but it was my best thinking, and advice from other people was get to a sober house. And I had this one little bedroom that I'm so embarrassed of, but it was $180 a week and it let me save money. And I went from having an overnight job at a warehouse to having a sales job at digital marketing, and my background's in marketing communications. That's what I have a degree in. So I'm like, listen, I'm not a sales guy, but it gets me closer. And I go to this meeting. Me and the other guys all graduate the halfway house at the same time, and we're all in Bergen County together. So we go together. And every meeting I put my hand up. I don't have a car, if anyone can help me out, and no one's doing it. Now I got some boys, so real quick, again, I got sober at 19. So my home group is Englewood Liberty Men's every Monday night at 9 o'clock. It's a men's meeting. I love my men's meetings. I primarily do men's meetings. They've known me since I was 19. The same men have been there since I was 19. I celebrated 4 years in January. My buddy celebrated 46 years.
Wow.
So like they've known me my whole life. So they're there. They pick me up. They help me out. But when I go to meetings, no one is. And there's one time this guy Jeff does, right? And I felt like an outcast because Bergen County is the burbs, right? We're the burbs. And I make fun of suburban sobriety. I love it. I love all these guys 100%. Like they don't hit the same bottoms I might have hit, but emotionally they probably did, right? So I make fun of them, but I would say the word probation and people would look at me like I had two heads, right? They didn't know about probation and drug court and going to jail, and they weren't people I could vibe with. And I found this one guy, Jeff, who I could vibe with, old school, 60-year-old Italian from Greenpoint, Brooklyn. Attitude, sarcastic, witty, talk shit, love it. Like my type of dude. And he tricked me with the steps. I didn't even need to do the steps, but every single Sunday we met at a cigar bar. We would smoke cigars, we would watch football, we would drink coffee, and we would do the steps. And he's one of my best friends today. After a little while, I was able to save up money. My job, I got promoted. I became a manager. I had this old beat up Nissan, and I was able to get a new car. My credit got better. And now I have this one bedroom apartment. And there's nights, guys. I know that seems so simple, but there's nights when I sit on my couch and I look around and I smile. I got my own apartment. I'm not in rehab. I'm not in a halfway house. I'm not in jail. I'm not in a 1-bedroom sober house. And I just smile. This time I went slow. This time I didn't rush it. I stayed at that sober house for over a year and I hated it, right? But I had to go slow. My family, my parents are my biggest supporters. My father came every week to see me in jail. Every week. My mother couldn't come to that, and I respect it. She couldn't see me there, right? But when I hit rehabs and halfway houses, every single visiting weekend, my parents were there. I would beg them not to come, and they would come. The support, the love, after all the hurt, like they have taught me what true unconditional love is.
That's awesome.
My father's my rock. That's it. He's my best friend. He's it. He's the OG. Like he's man.
That's awesome. To have that kind of support system is huge. Huge. I tell clients all the time, you've got to have a support system. And if it's not your family, you need to make a family. You need to find your family, find your tribe, because that is so important.
Yeah. And these are the same people that kicked me out, right? Same people that wouldn't bail me out of jail. Same people that slept with their wallets in their purse. Mm-hmm. Right. So
because at some point a parent realizes, because my parents were the same, they were unconditional love, total support, but at the same time it's like, okay, if he or she is going to change, we got to stop babying him. Yeah. You have to feel those consequences.
And so I have a brother and a sister, right? And my brother I love. He's on his own. He's doing his own thing. My sister's pissed, right? I missed her wedding, right? And she supported me in and out for so long. But I had to put in the work. And let me tell you, my home group taught me consistency, right? Because those same 25 guys show up every Monday night since I was 19. I'm 37 now. Same exact men showed up every Monday night. They showed me what consistency is. So I got a commitment doing this setup, right? So I would show up at 7 o'clock at night. My meeting's at 9. It's a late meeting. Set up, make the coffee, done by 7:30. Call my sister every Monday night. Just to talk. Just to build a relationship. I had to put in the work.
Yes.
My sister got pregnant. And as soon as I found out she was having a baby, I jumped on the train. I ran up to Connecticut, and I was there for the birth. right? Because I was not going to miss another thing, right? It does not matter. I had to be consistent and I had to put in the work. Every single Sunday, not so much lately because of COVID, I go to my parents' house. Every Sunday. I get to do laundry for free. So like I'm not a saint, right? Like laundry.
Right. Well, that's like the rules. You
And,
get
and,
to
and mom's cooking, right?
Yeah.
Right. And mom's cooking and leftovers you bring home. Let's not like but I show up. Man, I show up. You know how many so here's a show up story. I'm still on probation, right? And last summer I was on probation, my very first summer in 5 years out. And I want to go on vacation with my parents. They invite me. My sister, my niece is going, my aunts and uncles. My PO says yes, but you have to wear a drug patch. I'm like, all right, whatever, fine.
Now tell people what a drug patch is.
All right, so a drug patch is like a nicotine patch that detects if you do or come into contact with any drugs. So if someone's smoking weed around you, it's going to detect it. So it's a patch that you have to keep on for like a week. I hate it. I think the accuracy is very low. But when they put it on me, and they're telling me, FYI, no chlorine, no salt water, and no sunblock on it. And I'm like, are you serious? I'm going to the beach.
This is kind of counterproductive.
I don't want to go anymore. This sucks. But my sponsor also reminded me it wasn't about me. I was going with my family. I was going for my family. For the first time in 5 years, I was going to be on vacation with my parents and my sister and my family. And I showed up. And I couldn't do half the things I wanted to do. But that's okay because the next year I will. You know?
Right.
So sometimes you have to show up for other people. And I didn't complain and I didn't cry and I didn't bitch about it. I took it like a man because this is what I've done and these are my consequences. And I'm going to take it on the chin and I'm going to keep it moving. So where I am today. So this pandemic has not been bad for me. I'm not gonna lie. Like this is maybe the best year of my life. I was 320 pounds. You know, soups and hookups, like ramen noodles and hookups in county, like that does not go well for a while. It's a lot of salt and a lot of fat and a lot of honey buns. You know, so I blew up. Like I was a big boy already. Like I was 250 already, but I was 320, and I had to do something about it. Because my doctor said, listen, in 4 years, I have a cardiac event. And I couldn't do it. I was an athlete, so I'm used to lifting and get big, not get small. And I had help. You know, I got the gastric bypass. And after that, I had to put in the work. It's like you go to rehab to stop. And after that, you got to put in the work. You got to do it every day, day by day. I go get the surgery, but now I have to put in the work every day, day by day. I work out every single day. Well, I did.
Because people don't understand, even with gastric bypass, you can absolutely gain all the weight back.
I've lost 110 pounds since I feel.
Wow, that's awesome. Congratulations, that's awesome.
Thank you. I have promotion. I'm a manager at my job. You know, I went back to school. I'm getting my MBA from Louisiana State University. I'm doing it online. I think let me take this time to better myself, right? And what's really cool, I'm taking it with my sister and my cousin. I'm in class with my sister. You know how cool? Like we'll do homework, help together, and study. Like, how cool is that? Like, this is an opportunity I never thought I would have.
Right, an opportunity to connect.
Yeah, and it's going great. And like it's a lot of work. I freak out, but I'm a nerd, right? So like, I'm still getting A's. I'm a nerd. I apologize. I'm a nerd. I'm still getting A's, but I got an 86 on my last test. I freaked out, right? So now, like, all my free time is about, like, studying, right? It's a lot of work. It's hard. I go to my meetings. There's live meetings. So during the pandemic, me and my sponsor, my network, started meetings in the park. Every day at 12 noon and 6 o'clock, there was a meeting in the park. We were meeting in people's backyard. We were meeting in parks. We did not. My sobriety got stronger because these meetings were real. I hate most meetings because it's a let me complain, right? I don't want to hear about you drinking. I want to hear about you living. I've put down the drink. Now it's how do I live as a sober man? How do I live as a good? How do I put these ideals and these principles into my life? How do I handle a car payment and rent? How do I handle being a manager? How do I handle getting my family back in my life? How do I handle a real relationship? I tried dating the girls in the rooms. That does not work. That does not work. Do not date in the rooms. And every time I say this, there's one person that says, "Oh, but my husband and I." Yeah, okay, you are the 1% that make it. That's it. And I thought I was going to be the 1%. I'm Matthew Clark, by the way, in case you didn't know. I got this. No, just no. Why risk it? No. I promise you, there's how is that attractive? Somebody that's just getting sober, living in a sober house, probably is missing a few teeth, definitely got track marks going on. How is that? How? Come on. Anyway, I get in a real relationship with a grown woman who emotionally does not need me, right? Which is it's new to me because I'm used to like might not be as smart as me, so I can manipulate, right? This woman can hold her own, which is rare, right? And we are two individuals that come together to be partners. And I have to go to these meetings and talk to these men to learn how to be in a real relationship.
Right.
And how do I be a partner? How do I do this sober? How am I going to be a good man today? That's what I care about. When I go to meetings and people talk about real life and real pain, I'm all in. When I go to meetings and it's people giving me parables and quoting the big book or arguing about what AA or NA should be and isn't and how people should and shouldn't get sober and talk, I just tune out. I take my phone out and I read. And I know that's bad to even say, but I do. That's just me. I'm on probation. I'm on drug court. I'm on phase 4. I am almost done. I'm supposed to graduate in March. My PO trusts me now. He trusts me. I don't know how, but he does. But it's easy. You know, life seems to be easy when you follow the rules for the most part. Like I'm not an angel, I'm not perfect. Like I break a lot of rules, but like I try to do the next right thing. Example, and I know I'm running long, and I apologize for talking so long. I apologize to anybody watching.
You're good. You are good.
I got in a car accident, right? I sideswiped someone who was parked. There's no cameras. It's 9 o'clock at night. Nobody saw. I wanted to leave so badly. But that was not the next right thing.
Right.
So I called the police on myself. And I reported the accident. And guess what? My license popped up suspended. So after doing the right thing, I get 5 tickets about driving without a license and all this BS. And they were really trying to like find me or send me like it could be 3 months, yada yada. And I had to fight it on my own, and I did well with it. It got dropped, but like that was even doing the right thing. Sometimes life sucks, man, but you gotta do it. You gotta take it on the chin. You gotta take it on the chin and keep it moving.
Yeah, because life doesn't go, oh, you know what? Matt's recovering. We need to take it easy on. No, life doesn't care. Life is still going to happen exactly as it's been happening.
100%. But that's the fun part, right? Like, I wish things always went my way. I really do, but it's a lot more interesting when it doesn't, right? It's a lot more interesting. So yeah, I'm on drug court phase 4. I'm about to graduate. My record expunged somehow. It's a process. I've worked through steps. I talked to my sponsor. I now go to live meetings. I'm the GSR of my home group. I'm also the secretary of my home group. I take speaking commitments when I can. I help guys when I can. I don't put expectations on almost anything. I try not to. I plan, like, because I'm a nerd and I have to have a list of what needs to be done. It has to be organized. I have to know. Like, that's just my life. Like, what am I doing Saturday? This time. I need to organize and written down. And I need to execute. I need to make the plan. I need to execute the plan. And I need to win. Usually God laughs and it goes haywire, right?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I couldn't be happier today. I couldn't. And she's gonna kill me for saying this, but I say it at meetings all the time, and we think it's really funny, and you probably will too. She doesn't, but the woman I'm dating is a former federal probation officer and a former case manager for a treatment court in another state. So if this
That's
goes somewhere,
fantastic.
right? Like I'm doing this on purpose to myself, right? Like if this goes somewhere, I want to be on paper for the rest of my life. Like that's the way. Like I'm going to be on probation for the rest of life if this goes somewhere. And it's a joke. I know, babe. I know. It's not like that. She doesn't treat me like that at all.
Right, but it is. It's funny. It's just funny.
It's
Like,
funny, especially for us. Her, not so much. For us, yes, it's funny.
how much clean time do you have now?
4 years. I celebrated 4 years, January 10th. And yeah, yeah, 4 years. It's not about the 4 years. It's about today.
Exactly. Exactly. But that's still awesome. Congratulations. That's fantastic. And Matt, we really appreciate you being willing to share and just, be open and honest and telling people, hey, look, if you go down this road, and it doesn't matter. People think of like, broken homes and toxic parents and all this other stuff. And it's like, I've interviewed people who came from those backgrounds. I've interviewed people who, had multiple degrees. It doesn't matter. Some were young, some got sober older. Addiction doesn't care. If it's there, it's there. And if it's happening, it's happening. So, I know because I am kind of, except for I was either lucky or unluckier. I did not get arrested as much as you did. I only got arrested once, but my story parallels yours, the suburbanite kid. And there's going to be other kids that think that's not going to happen to them because they're not like those people you see in the movies. They're not like those people you see on TV. I have never actually met. Now, Sal, who was also on TikTok, has, and we were like, shut up, he exists. I have never actually met the dude in the trench coat, with the paper bag bottle, the stereotype. I've never met him. Sal did. He's like, you exist, dude. This is amazing. That's actually rare. The alcoholics and addicts that I've met, a lot of them, one was a flight attendant, one was a dentist. Like, just
we're all walks of life, and it comes down to that we all have that same hole in the soul that something's missing, man, and we try to fill it with whatever, and it can be anything, whether it's gambling, food, sex, drugs, heroin, drinking, beer, shopping, Amazon. Amazon's an issue for me.
Oh my gosh, Amazon is a problem. Amazon and children's cereal are a big problem for me.
What?
I'm serious. You can't bring it in the house.
But it doesn't matter. That's what we have, and that's why we're all one family, one recovery, right? Like,
right.
It's not NA or AA, or I make fun of AA a lot, NA a lot, and AA a lot.
Right. And NA makes fun of AA. It's just.
And for me, it's fun, right? But I love everybody. It's all about that hole in the soul and what we're doing to get better. And it can be the 12 steps. It can be church. It could be therapist. It could be, man, listen, as long as it works. But if it's not working, if it's not just about being sober, I don't care if you're sober, how long you're sober. I care about what kind of person you are today.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly.
I thank you so much for having. I know I ran a long time, and I really do apologize for that. We talked about my favorite subject, me. So
you are actually not the longest interview that I've had, so don't worry. You're you're good. But yeah, this has been awesome. That's going to do it for us at the Recovery Scene. Remember to subscribe and like and share. Cliches annoy me, especially because a lot of them are true. So I'm going to hit you with sharing is caring.
All right.
So go ahead and share this podcast as well. And we will see you all